If you're looking for a thin, unique looking case, do check out the Spigen Reventon. I've gotten quite fond of this case over the last couple of weeks. If you're looking for something that's a little tougher, more Otterbox Defender-esque, check out the Spigen's ProGuard. Out of the hundreds of cases I use between my iPhone 8s and 10s, the Reventon is going to be one of my go-to cases, though I can see some people not liking certain features of this case. Now, I'm a little less excited about the ProGuard as the bulk of the case really takes away from the sleek design of the iPhone 10, and I really don't need that extra protection. But with that being said, these two cases are going to be some of the best value, best looking cases you can get for the iPhone 10, as they come with not one, but two tempered glass screen protectors. In terms of score, I've given the Reventon a score of 5 A's out of 5 and the ProGuard 4.5 A's out of 5. Now the Reventon bumps the current king of iPhone 10 cases, the Catalyst Impact Protection, out of the top spot for the iPhone 10. Now I base all my scores on 18 different criteria. I don't actually pull anything out of my butt. And then I normalize all the scores so that the top 10 list is constantly changing because all the cases are rated relative to one another. So it kind of keeps things interesting on my behalf anyways. In the next few minutes, I'm going to go over the cases in detail and then compare them against some of my previous Spigen favorites, which include the Tough Armor, Neo Hybrid, and Thin Fit 360. I'll also highlight my biggest gripe with these products because I'm going to contradict what I just said at the very beginning of the video a little bit.
Real usage, real reviews. Mobile Reviews A.ca.
At Mobile Reviews A, Monty and I base all our reviews on actual usage. So, well, we spent a lot of time using our iPhones in different cases. I've been reviewing Spigen cases for years now, and their general lineup hasn't really changed, but I do have to say in the last couple of years, I've seen new iterations of cases, and I'm going to say that Spigen's kind of taken it up a notch. Most of Spigen's lineup isn't really fancy. They produce a lot of cases that aren't terribly unique, as most people who won't be able to tell the difference between a $4 AliExpress case and the Spigen Clear case. Well, I guess the newer Spigen ones went yellow over time. I don't know about this AliExpress one. So let's get started with the ProGuard. This is one of Spigen's bulkier cases and has an eerie resemblance to the Otterbox Defender, as the iPhone sits in a polycarbonate frame which is wrapped in a large piece of TPU. I will add that the TPU on the ProGuard's a little thicker, a little slicker than the Defender, which is nice since it won't pull your pockets out, but it does reduces the handling of the iPhone a bit. Personally, I think the ProGuard looks like a beefed up hybrid armor, as it has several similar design cues. Now, with all the similarities out of the way, I will note that the sensor area on the front of the iPhone 10 complies with Apple's case guidelines, as nothing is covered. One of the odd things I did notice was that the Apple logo cutout on the back of the case is covered, unlike Spigen's other cases. Now, this adds a bit more dust protection, but it just seems odd that Spigen would do it for this case and not other ones. But that's just me being nitpicky, we'll say. The handling of the iPhone isn't too bad, as there's a lot of texture on the case, but I would personally rate it lower than the average Spigen case, as it doesn't have the glossy grip of the clear cases or the soft rubber polycarbonate parts of like the Tough Armors, Hybrid Armors, and Reventon. The edges of the ProGuard are a little higher than the average case, which means you'll notice it when using gestures on your iPhone 10. Now, the edge is less noticeable if you use their included screen protector. Now, when it comes to protection, the ProGuard is drop rated to mil standard 810G of at least 4 feet, but from my experiences, cases with this extra bulk, with the TPU and the polycarbonate design, can handle slightly higher drops. I'd be comfortable dropping the ProGuard from 6 feet without any doubt. When it comes to screen protection, Spigen offers 2 tempered glass 9H screen protectors. They are technically glasters with like Spigen or whatever trademarks on them, but from my understanding, they're just normal tempered glass screen protectors. They're not as strong as treated glass like Gorilla Glass, but there's a good chance that you won't know the difference once you put it on. And at the very least, keys, coins, knives, and other normal day-to-day things aren't going to leave a scratch on the screen protector. The fit of the screen protector and the case is incredible. It's so tight. Spigen does instruct you on how to install the screen protector after installing the case, which means there's absolutely no guesswork during the install. It just fits almost perfectly. On other products, I'll complain about the gap between the case and the screen protector, but it's so tiny that, well, I'm not going to say really anything bad about the gap on this case. If you found this video useful or entertaining or helpful, considering getting all your Spigen stuff or any sort of your tech products through my Amazon links. This video isn't sponsored. All the iPhones that I dropped aren't sponsored. My time isn't sponsored. So any sort of help through those links will be basically helping me make more videos in the future. So any sort of help is greatly appreciated. Now on to the Reventon. I love the design of the case. Most cases are either TPU cover over a PC frame like the ProGuard, a full TPU case like this clear crystal hybrid, or a polycarbonate frame over TPU. like the Neo hybrids. Basically, Spigen has all the different combinations of material types, but the Reventon is a PC frame wrapped in TPU, which is then wrapped in more polycarbonate. This is the first for me out of the hundreds of cases I've seen over the last few years. And it's a little sad because I'm excited about an iPhone case. Now, from my perspective, the Reventon is an evolution of the Spigen ThinFit 360, which is one of the best cases I think I used for my iPhone 7s and 8s. The 360 was a thin, no-nonsense case that handled well and came with 2 glass screen protectors at a reasonable price. The Reventon has a unique look, and I can see some people being turned off by the design as it adds a bit more flair to the simplicity of the iPhone. I think Spigen is trying to make the iPhone look a little more luxurious with the Reventon, as there's just a lot of angles and different textures and colors on the case. The Reventon is thinner than the ProGuard, and by itself is quite flexible. Now, bending iPhones hasn't really been an issue over the last few years, as Apple has made the devices stronger, and perhaps people have realized that things made of glass and metal bend, so they stop sitting on them, so the thinness of the Reventon shouldn't bother most people. The reduced bulk of the case also allows you to use the iPhone easily with one hand, and the soft rubber coating of the back PC sits nicely in your palm. Now, the front of the case is different, as the iPhone sits in a polycarbonate frame and then a TPU cover, so you do kind of notice the edge of the case on the front of the iPhone, which is something I've already noted for the ProGuard as well. The polycarbonate frame itself is quite thin, and the rose gold case that I had a weird bend in it, but it didn't occur in the other cases. Now, when it comes to installation, I did find myself having to pay attention to the installation instructions due to this polycarbonate TPU sandwich design. From a handling perspective, the Reventon is decent. The case sits well in your hand, and like the ProGuard, the edge of the case does help with one-handed usage. There is a lot of texture on the case, so it won't slip out of your hand as easily as other cases. I didn't have any issues accessing the iPhone in the Reventon, and like the ProGuard, the front sensors are covered, though they are kind of semi-protected. The corners of the case are slightly larger, which helps with the handling of the iPhone, as well as adding a bit more protection. Lightning port cutout is large enough for any cable. The mute switch is large enough for my thumbs, and the buttons have a good feel to them. If you're wondering if the case gets in the way of the front-facing camera, well, here's a comparison shot, and from what I can see, no, it doesn't. Now, when it comes to protection, the Reventon is also drop rated mil standard 810G, despite being almost half the size of the ProGuard. Reventon isn't going to be as tough as the ProGuard, as it isn't as bulky, but from day-to-day drops of 4 feet, from your chest while texting, yeah, you'll be fine. Reventon has the same screen protectors as the ProGuard, and they fit just as nice. In fact, you could probably easily swap between the ProGuard and Reventon without changing the screen protector. I've done a lot of videos on Spigen products, and honestly, the handling between an iPhone 6 to 8 generally doesn't change because they're exactly the same size. So if you're looking for a specific case, just head over to my channel and do a search for it. I do have a video, an all-encompassing video for all the Spigen cases that I did get for the iPhone 8 and iPhone 10. So do check that out if you, again, need more details. For this review, I'll compare the Reventon and ProGuard against the Tough Armor, Neo Hybrid, and ThinFit 360. Now, I'm quite fond of the Spigen Tough Armor. In my opinion, the Tough Armor is like a baseline case. If you don't know what case to get, or you really don't care about what case you have, just get a Spigen Tough Armor. When it comes to design, the Reventon looks a lot fancier than the Tough Armor, so some people, as I said, might not like that. Tough Armor has a tiny edge on the Reventon in terms of handling, as the back of the case, it's all polycarbonate, and it's covered, if you get the right color, with soft rubber coating, which beats out the textured back of the Reventon slightly. And this is me being very, very picky. The Tough Armor is for the iPhone 10 as a kickstand, so if you need that feature, well, go with the Tough Armor. And if you're looking at the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus version, you're going to need to look at the Tough Armor too. I know the product names are kind of, well, complicated, we'll say. When compared to the ProGuard, it has a much tougher look than the Tough Armor, but from my perspective, like the Reventon, it doesn't handle as well as the Tough Armor. The bulk of the case may reduce the ability to use the iPhone in one hand when compared to the Tough Armor, but again, not by much. In terms of overall protection, I would say the Reventon and Tough Armor are on the same level, whereas the ProGuard dwarfs the Tough Armor because of the extra bulk of the TPU cover. Now, when comparing against the Neo Hybrid, I'm a little torn because the Neo Hybrid, I really like the Neo Hybrid for the iPhone 10, or the Neo Hybrid herringbone for the iPhone 8. The Reventon does offer more protection, well, the screen protectors, as well as this case edge. If you don't need that extra protection or already have a screen protector on your iPhone, go with the Neo Hybrid. I haven't mentioned it yet, but the Reventon is going to cost quite a bit more than the Neo Hybrid. So on to the comparison with the ThinFit 360. In reality, the ThinFit 360 is kind of the predecessor to the Reventon, as the design cues are quite similar. The biggest difference between the cases is a lack of TPU on the thin-fit 360. The entire case is made from polycarbonate, so it keeps the iPhone incredibly slim and simple. It comes with the same 2 screen protectors, but the entire setup is going to cost much less than the Reventon and ProGuard. So what's my biggest gripe with these 2 cases? Well, price is going to be one of them. On Spigen's website, they're $60 US. Now, these cases do look better. They're a better product in my opinion. They do come with 2 screen protectors, but 60 bucks for a case is a lot of money. But I do have to remind myself and you guys that the pricing on Spigen's website isn't always the actual price. If you look at Spigen's website and then compare it to Amazon, the price differences are usually different. Now, at the time in this video, I couldn't see these cases on Amazon, so well, depending on when you're watching this, it might show up on Amazon, so do check. Make sure you price shop around. Now, my second gripe with these Spigen cases, and if you've been watching my videos long enough, you'll know that I have this complaint almost every single time when I do a Spigen case review, is that different colored cases will handle differently. So between this blue silver case, the polycarbonate pieces doesn't have a soft rubber coating, which is odd to me because I've seen silver colored cases with the coating on it, so it's not like the color is preventing the coating from being applied to it, I think. I don't know exactly. But the silver, like 2 out of these 3 cases, handles incredibly well, whereas in this one, again, doesn't, because it doesn't have that coating. So, could take that into consideration if you're considering buying one of these cases. So again, if you're planning on getting one of these cases, consider getting it through my links. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, I do encourage you to click subscribe. Questions, comments, leave them down there. Thanks for watching.